Good morning. Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network. This is RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thank you again for joining us on this live stream as we know that President Trump will participate in a bilateral meeting with the Iraqi Prime Minister Ali al-Zaidi. This is going to be at the White House. Speaking of the White House, the comms team has released a stirring video of absolute patriotism. Let's take a look right out of the gate at clip number 1.
Donald was the young man who was going to conquer Manhattan.
He takes chances that would make a less daring man shudder.
To think about the arc of where he's been in, it's like some sort of mythical story or something.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me.
Donald Trump seems to always get stronger when challenged.
My God, that guy's got resilience.
Those who deal with you underestimate you and live to regret it.
It's always good to be underestimated. It is not about politics. It's about our love for this great country, America, and we're not going to let it fail. I will fight like no one has ever fought before.
Trump is the bodyguard of Western civilization.
You want to talk about a fighter, a walk through fire? He's an absolute savage.
He knows that this is much bigger than him. This is about the American people. They have no idea what they have unleashed. He was ready to go face the cameras and come out swinging.
What will future Americans say we did in our brief time here on Earth? It will be defined by your vision, your perseverance, and your grit. Nothing will sway us, nothing will slow us, and no one will ever stop us. We are Americans. Ambition is our heritage. Greatness is our birthright. And the future belongs to us.
For those of you that may not have had the greatest sleep last night, we have 2 under 2 at the house and both babies were up. So I'm starting out the day. I should have some coffee, but I don't. It's one of those days. Why don't we do this? Let's play that clip one more time as we get ready to see the president in just about an hour from now. Let's go back to clip number 1.
Donald was the young man who was going to conquer Manhattan.
He takes chances that would make a less daring man shudder.
To think about the arc of where he's been in, it's like some sort of mythical story or something.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me.
Donald Trump seems to always get stronger when challenged.
My God, that guy's got resilience.
Those who deal with you underestimate you and live to regret it.
It's always good to be underestimated. It is not about politics. It's about our love for this great country, America, and we're not going to let it fail. I will fight like no one has ever fought before.
Trump is the bodyguard of Western civilization.
You want to talk about a fighter, a walk through fire? He's an absolute savage.
He knows that this is much bigger than him. This is about the American people. They have no idea what they have unleashed. He was ready to go face the cameras and come out swinging.
What will future Americans say we did in our brief time here on Earth? It will be defined by your vision, your perseverance, and your grit. Nothing will sway us, nothing will slow us, and no one will ever stop us. We are Americans. Ambition is our heritage. Greatness is our birthright. And the future belongs to us.
Let's play it. I'm kidding. I was going to say let's play it for a third time. No, seriously, that video is powerful. A lot of great content in there as well as if you need a little charge up, patriotic style charge up, that's the video to watch. Wow. Now we have some more, of course, social media videos that we've been seeing. Of course, we'll be talking about the 24/7 news cycle. We know that the president has this important meeting with the Iraqi leader today at the White House. So we'll get to that in just a minute. As the Freedom 250 Grand Prix showcase that happened outside the White House obviously just took place yesterday. You might have seen that right here on Right Side. Let's look at a quick highlight video. Here it is.
wrapped up the pit stop, first ever pit stop here at the White House. What an incredible experience, and this is all to celebrate America's 250th.
We can't wait to see you August 23rd. What do we have to wait for, David?
This was just a little taste of the pit stops that we're going to have in a race scenario. We're all going to be pushing the limits, everything you can. It's going to be beautiful chaos is how I would explain it. Goosebumps, it's everything you're going to want to be. It's the best way to celebrate America's 250th, so make sure you're there.
While I was watching that Grand Prix showcase from the White House yesterday, I'm thinking about the fact that some of the NASCAR tracks out there, when it's off season, I think it's even during Christmas time in some tracks, we're talking major NASCAR tracks, where you are able to drive your own vehicle on the track. Obviously, you can't speed around it. I mean, you have to go a certain speed limit, but still, that'd be pretty cool to go around turn 3 at various tracks out there. I said yesterday I saw Talladega and the Bristol Motor Speedway. Also, forgot to mention the Pocono 400, the Pocono Speedway as well. So I've seen 2 just racetracks and 1 actual NASCAR race. But anyway, that's the race side of auto racing side of our segment this morning. As we continue on, let's shift dramatically now to Iran, as the U.S. Central Command completed the latest wave of strikes against Iran last night around 10 o'clock Eastern time. This is a video from the United States Central Command of those attacks that happened yesterday. So that's all from the United States Central Command, of course, reporting what we're seeing out there when it comes to the latest in Iran. Obviously, President Trump was asked about Iran just yesterday. If you missed it here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, at least the upload of that executive order. And if you recall, if you are a loyal viewer of the network, you would hear me say things like, it's closed press today, it may open up. Well, that was one of the events that happened yesterday. It was around 4:45, 5 o'clock Eastern time, where the president signed some executive orders about opening up some land in Utah. And then after signing an executive order there, he took some questions. So we're going to go to that just in case you missed it here on Right Side, and we'll continue our coverage here on the network in just a second.
It's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Welcome back. Before we get to the president from within that 24/7 news cycle, signing those executive orders and, of course, taking questions just yesterday around 5 o'clock in the Oval Office, let's go to some of our sponsors quickly. Of course, All Family Pharmacy, one of our great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And being prepared can make all the difference when it comes to your family's health care, whether you need an everyday prescription medication for a common illness or simply want to keep your medicine cabinet stocked. It's always better, of course, to plan ahead. That's why we recommend All Family Pharmacy. They offer more than 400 medications, from maintenance medications and antibiotics to ivermectin, GLP-1 therapies, NAD+, and other wellness options. And what really sets them apart is their customer service. When you call, you actually get a real person who can actually help. Whether you're placing an order, have questions about your prescription, or need guidance through the process, their team is there for you. You can even speak with a licensed pharmacist if you have medication questions. Ordering is simple. Just complete a secure online medical questionnaire. One of their licensed physicians reviews your information and, if appropriate, writes your prescription. Your medication is then shipped directly to your door. So just visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN10 promo code to save 10% on your order. And just give them a call, 561-717-6794. As we approach the bottom of the hour here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, let's look at something that is a unique opportunity. So tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, there's a public prayer call with the Republican National Committee with special guest White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt. So the phone number is right there on your screen. I'm going to have to look on my phone a little closer because that's a bit far here in the studio to read that off to you. So it's 866-253-8518. And that passcode there, again, this is a public prayer call, so this is posted on X. I saw this just last night. I said, oh, this is cool. The passcode is 902-417-62#. So 866-253-8518. The passcode is 902-417-62. Now, I sometimes say hashtag or number sign, and some people say pound. So which is it? Is it hashtag, number sign, or pound? Does anybody know? Director, do you know? Which one is it? Anyway, so he's saying pound. Yeah, I thought that's the technical right term, but I mean, still, you can say hashtag or number sign, right? Anyway, so that's happening tonight. You know, as long as the babies are all good and everything's good at the house, I'll definitely want to call into that and just listen in, to this public prayer call that's happening. I've never seen something like that. That's kind of cool, especially from the RNC and then the great Carolyn Leavitt being a part of that as well. And you could be a part of it too. Just give them a call. That's the information right there. All right, so outside of that, let's go to the White House. Just yesterday, President Trump, of course, signing some executive orders. And then this portion of the segment is the Q&A with reporters. Let's take a look.
Thank you. So we've done something that was, I think, very desperately needed. It was very unfair to the people of Utah. And now fairness has been brought back. It's going to be better taken care of. And they'll be able to use it a little bit. So there's something very nice about that. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Do you have any questions about this, first of all, most importantly? Anybody want to talk about this?
I've got one,
Jeff,
I've got one on Iran too, but I'll start with this. Just you said that 70% of the land was federal. Was there any other way to turn this around? How is it that I guess my question is how did it get there if it's a state?
Go ahead. Do you want to discuss that, please?
The land ownership is what it is, but under the Antiquities Act, 120 years ago, Congress made the decision to give presidents the power to designate by executive proclamation certain land as monument. It was supposed to be the smallest area compatible with the objects to be protected in connection with that. Now, initially, as the Deputy Secretary of the Interior explained a minute ago, that meant a few hundred, maybe 1,000 or 2 acres at the most. These are 3 million acres. As I explained to President Biden, that's 2 Delawares. It's been abused, and so it was done by executive action. President Trump is right-sizing it to bring it in compliance with what the law says.
And Mr. President, just on Iran, you have said now to Congress that we are back at war. How long do you expect this to take? And what's the legal basis?
Take what? Take what?
The war.
Well, I think it's going very fast. We've demolished their military. We're hitting them very hard. We had a deal yesterday or the day before yesterday. It was all done. And then they broke up that deal immediately because they found out there was something in the deal they didn't like. And they're wired differently, and we're not going to put up with it. We are just going forward. We're attacking them tonight. We're taking out all of their capability for anything having to do with the Strait, with the Hormuz Strait. And I think in the end, we will end up just controlling the whole thing. And what they're doing is being very foolish, very stupid, and they've treated people horribly. They've killed 52,000 protesters so far that we can determine. It might be more than that, but 52,000 protesters have been killed, and it's really a terrible situation. We'll have it under control very quickly.
You mentioned that you're going to, just one quick follow-up. You mentioned,
wait.
You're going to, just hold on one second.
Wait, Jeff.
I'm sorry, I was going to ask the follow-up.
Be nice, Jeff. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I have to teach him to be nice.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your presidency, so a lot of us here actually witnessed a miracle 2 years ago today as we were on the ground covering your rally in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Right.
You said a lot of times that you believe that God has saved your life. Has there been a moment throughout your presidency so far where you thought this is why God kept you here?
Well, we're doing a lot. You know, we have a country that I use the expression "Make America Great Again," and we've done far more than anyone thought possible, including maybe even me. We've done things that are unreal. At $19.2 trillion, the money being invested in our country is more than any country has ever had by many times. We have trillions of dollars coming, and because of the tariffs and the proper use of tariffs, because of all of the things, I think because of the election, November 5th was a very important day. When you look at the military, we have the strongest military in the world. We rebuilt it largely during my first term, and we have recruitment now. We're setting records in recruitment. We had, if you go back to the campaign when I used to talk about it, the last administration, they couldn't recruit soldiers. We needed soldiers in every single branch of our military, and that included police and firemen. Nobody wanted to do anything having to do with the uniform in this country because they weren't proud of the country. And now that people are very, very proud to be an American, our country is doing phenomenally well. We're respected all over the world. If I go, no matter where I go, we just got back from NATO, and I think you saw the response. It was like a very beautiful thing, actually. It was a total response, totally positive response. No matter where we go, we're respected again, maybe respected more than ever before. So I appreciate the question, but that's pretty much it.
Mr. President, thank you. Cameron Arkin with Town Hall. I was curious about our reports about Iranian drones in Cuba. There are concerns about that. Where does the relationship with the U.S. stand there? Is military intervention still on the table there?
Well, if they do have that, and they might very well have that, we'll take care of it. Marco is just in the other room. And if they do have that, we'll take care of it in short order. We're not going to have a problem. We're not going to allow that to happen. So it could be that they're storing some. We're looking into it now. It could be so, and it maybe isn't. But we'll figure it out fast.
And what are you expected to speak about on Thursday evening?
I'm going to speak on Thursday. We were thinking one of the nights, but this has been such a busy news day today with all that's happening. A lot of very positive things have happened, including the Indy. We're going to have an Indy race, as you know, in 41 days. And that's going to be incredible. Around the Capitol, around down Pennsylvania Avenue, it's going to be something. They have 250,000 tickets ordered. It'll be like UFC, which set every record in the book for that business, which is the business of fighting. So we have the Indy cars coming, and it's going to be great. And while we're talking, I have to pay on behalf of Mike and myself, and I think everybody's standing behind me very strongly. I want to pay my respects to Lindsey, who was our friend. He was a friend of all of us. He was a great guy. He was a great politician, actually. And it's hard to believe he's gone. He spoke to me just before he passed away, just to say hello. He got back. He felt fine. He was a little tired. And then this whole thing happened. And it's, it's tough. So flags are at half-mast until Saturday evening, which is an extended period of time, generally speaking, but I think he deserves it. And he's a fantastic person. He was a fantastic man. He was actually a great politician. He got along with almost everybody. And when he didn't get along, they knew it. He was tough, but he was He was a good man. He was very much in favor of the Save America Act. He called me about that. We were talking about that and some other things, but he just felt tired, but he felt fine. And then this horrible thing happened just a short time afterwards. So it was terrible. I just want to pay our respects.
Mr. President, you mentioned that Iran has agreed to a deal and then walked away from it. Have you reached the conclusion that a negotiated settlement won't be able to happen?
No, I never reached that conclusion, but we're hitting them very heavy tonight, as you know. We're hitting them. We have tremendous amounts of ammunition. We have numbers that we haven't had in years, and we're hitting them very hard, and it'll continue, and we'll see what happens, but we're knocking out all of their offensive capability, and we're controlling the straits. We're putting the blockade back, and it's a blockade not for anybody but Iran. In other words, anybody doing business with Iran can't go through. Everyone else will be able to go through. So it's a blockade. It's a very strong blockade. The blockade was probably more effective even than hitting them, but I think the combination is the thing that really does.
But you think a deal is still possible? You think they'll return to the...
Yeah, I think a deal is possible. Sure, I do.
But, Mr. President, you noted the United States is bombing Iran again. I mean, you've been bombing Iran for months now. Is this just the new normal for the American people?
No, well, you know, we're in Vietnam for 19 years. We're here for 4 months. So I think we've done a lot. We've knocked out their Navy in a period of 1 month. We knocked out their Air Force. Their Air Force is non-existent. We knocked out most of their missiles, most of their drones. We knocked out their drone manufacturing capability, about 92%. Their missile capability for manufacturing, we knocked out 89%. And they have a little capability, but they don't have any capability for us. This is almost a military skirmish. Now, with all of that being said, you have to get people that want to make something. We had a deal with them 2 days ago, and then they said, oh, we can't make that deal. We have to negotiate it further. And this is what they've done for 47 years. The difference is nobody negotiated like I do. And this should have been done by Bush and Obama and Biden and people before them, frankly. It's 47 years they've been ripping off everybody and really hurting and killing thousands of people. So they killed 52,000 protesters, but they killed many, many people with Soleimani, who I killed in the first term. Soleimani killed many people, many people, and not only killed, when you see a young former soldier walking around with no legs, no arms, a face that's been horribly hurt, that was done by Iran. That was done by Soleimani, who was a person that was very evil. He was an evil genius. He was looking to take out a lot of our military installations in Iraq and Iran, and I got him before he got us. So we have to do what we're doing, and the strait is open. It will be open. We've cut down their capability very substantially, but they're going to fight for a while. Our military has done a fantastic job, and the bottom line, though, and I say it to everybody, and I say it as much as they want to listen, Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. If we didn't bomb them with the B-2 bombers, that plane right there, if we didn't bomb them, they would have had a nuclear weapon long ago. 1 month, within 1 month from the day we bombed them, they would have had, if we didn't do it, they would have had a nuclear weapon. If they had a nuclear weapon, Israel would no longer be with us. The Middle East probably would no longer be with us, because you saw they sent missiles to 5 different countries that never even knew they were involved, because they're stone cold crazy. They are crazy, and we're not going to put it up. Yeah, I want to be reimbursed because we're protecting a very rich portion of the world. We're spending money, and so what we've done is we are going to be reimbursed for protection. We're protecting by the countries that we're helping. For instance, you look at the 5 countries. You have Saudi Arabia, you have UAE, you have Qatar, or Qatar as I always say, you have Qatar, Bahrain, and by the way, you have others. You have Kuwait, and you have others, and they will do very well, but we think it's appropriate that we don't need them. We have more oil than any other country in the world. When you add Venezuela, which has been amazing, which has tremendous amounts of oil that we control, when you add Venezuela and everything else, we have more than 50% of the world's supply. We don't need it, but we need it from the standpoint of protecting allies, et cetera, including Israel, including Saudi Arabia, including Qatar, including UAE. We're protecting all of them, and we've done a very effective job. So 4 months ago, these people had military that was very strong, by far the strongest probably in the Middle East. They were called the bully of the Middle East. Now they don't have a Navy. They have 159 ships underwater. They had a total of 159 ships. Now every one of them is underwater. They had 230 airplanes, attack planes. They're all gone. They're gone. They had tremendous radar. It's all gone. They had tremendous anti-aircraft. It's all gone. Sadly, their leadership is all gone. They had their first-tier leaders are all dead. Their second-tier leaders are all dead. Their third-tier leaders, who we're dealing with, more or less, some of them are already gone. And then you read fake news like your network, CNN, which is fake news. You read them, you have them say, well, actually, aren't they doing quite well? Let me just tell you, they have now inflation of over 300%. 4 months ago, they had inflation of 5%. Now they're at over 300, could be 350%. They made a deal, they broke it, probably 10 times. And they killed a lot of people. They killed our people. But the protesters, what they've done to the protesters, 52,000. Have you ever seen any of the burial lots where they're burying the protesters? They killed 52,000 protesters, and on my watch, they can't do any of that. So we have them in a position that they don't have any military. There's not a thing they can do about it. All they have is fake news, because they have the fake news, would rather see us lose the war than win the war, which is really treasonous, in a certain way. So we're doing another very major attack tonight. They want to make a deal. They came back. We made a deal 2 days ago, and they want to make a deal. They've been negotiating for 47 years, but nobody's ever hit them militarily. We're hitting them very hard. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, press. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
We're talking about it.
Thank you,
We'll
guys.
decide very soon on that.
Thank you, guys. Keep going. Thank you, guys.
Peter, keep going. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
You know, I've been to the White House a couple times, once inside, a second time outside, across the adjacent way there with the Eisenhower Executive Office building. Never been in the Oval Office. One of these days. Anyway, so this is what we're up to now. Let's go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. 3 different ways to get to Kalshi. Of course, the QR code, the app, the website, Kalshi.com/RSBN. And of course, there are some of the most important events going on. You can trade on those, bet, trade, or just check out the polls. A lot of the things that people are talking about, of course, within politics and elections. Specifically, it could be about Iran or the Strait of Hormuz, or it could be about who will be the Republican or the Democrat presidential nominee in 2028. Also, there are still a number of primary elections coming up across the country. And if you joined us yesterday, I read a whole list of the rest of the states and the dates. And I'll do that again here in just a little bit, just to kind of keep it fresh in our minds, so we know which days are happening for which states. But anyway, you can go to Kalshi.com/RSBN, a great sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. More than 1 million users on that site, Kalshi.com/RSBN. Let's go to our next sponsor. You see Cove Pure right there. Most of us know, of course, there's chlorine in our tap water. Gross, right? We smell it, we shrug, then drink it anyway. I don't. I hope you don't. But if you do, because we've been told it's what keeps our water safe. But what they don't tell you is what chlorine becomes after it's added to your water. And that's why it's so important to filter your water through Cove Pure. Chlorine itself isn't even the biggest problem. Chlorine levels in your water are regulated, but what's not regulated is chemicals that form when chlorine reacts with naturally occurring organic matter from rivers, soil, and plant matter. When chlorine interacts with those particles, it creates chemical byproducts called THMs. The government itself calls THMs probable human carcinogens, and they've been linked to disruption of your gut and cancer. Those pitcher filters that you get at the store won't fix this, because they improve the taste of chlorine, but THMs require something far more powerful. That's exactly what Cove Pure is. Their Clearwave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. So it's not just chlorine or THMs. There's fluoride, PFAs, pharmaceuticals. If it isn't water, Cove Pure removes it. And this thing doesn't just take up, it just takes up a little bit of room there, as you see. And you can just see it on screen. It looks super sleek. It sits right on your countertop, and you don't have to drill any holes or call a plumber. You just plug it in. The best part about Cove Pure is it lets you choose whatever temperature water you want. So after it's filtered through this process, no more waiting for the kettle to boil to make a cup of tea or coffee. Just tap a button and you get hot, cold, or warm water instantly. So the feedback on Cove Pure from our viewers has been incredible. And people have told us that they can literally taste the difference. Clean water is one of the best investments you can make for you and your family's health. And right now they're giving RSBN viewers $250 off if you use our link. So just go to covepure.com/RSBN. Again, that's covepure.com/RSBN. A couple great sponsors here on Right Side, Kalshi and Cove Pure, as we are waiting the President of the United States there at the White House. We do know that he will be greeting the Iraqi Prime Minister, Ali al-Zaidi, at the West Wing awning at about 11 a.m. And then at 11:15 inside the Oval Office, the two leaders will meet. So we'll have that in its entirety here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Before we go to Capitol Hill, because right now there's this AI arms race, House Foreign Affairs Committee, they're meeting right now. Just a couple programming notes. On Wednesday at 2:30, so tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern, President Trump will have a roundtable at the Pennsylvania Defense and Innovation Summit in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. On Thursday night, as many of you may know, President Trump addresses the nation in a primetime address. Our coverage starts at 7:30 Eastern on Thursday. So tomorrow we'll see the president in Pennsylvania. Thursday we'll see him in Washington, D.C. for that primetime address. And who knows, maybe earlier than that on Thursday, we may see the president as well. Just depends on what we see from that White House press schedule. And then we'll see how Friday shapes up. So that's that 24/7 news cycle. Thanks so much for live streaming or watching us on replay here on Right Side. Let's go to Capitol Hill now, where that AI, artificial intelligence arms race, this House Foreign Affairs Committee is meeting. Let's go there now.
Everybody rise, join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everybody. The purpose of today's hearing is to hear from the Undersecretary overseeing the Bureau of Industry and Security regarding the Trump administration's budget request for BIS in fiscal year 27. In particular, the discussion will cover the AI arms race against the Chinese Communist Party and the importance of Information and Communications Technology and Services Office, which reviews foreign technology threats. And I'm going to now recognize myself for an opening statement. Undersecretary Kessler, welcome to the House Foreign Affairs Committee. Welcome back, I should say, to the House Foreign Affairs Committee. You've been here before. This hearing is about beating the Chinese Communist Party in the AI arms race. It is a race that we can't lose. I think we all recognize that. We, the United States of America, and our great industries like Anthropic got to Mythos first. But we all know that China is trying to steal our technology any way that they can, like Mythos as an example. And we know that that's already old technology. We will see models far more powerful than Mythos soon. And if we don't act now, China might beat us to the next advanced AI model. They already unleashed COVID on us, and I have no doubt that they are waiting to release the next super COVID if that's what they could develop, or a missile defense Mythos that could get around any golden dome that the United States of America has. When CIA Director John Radcliffe says that the frontier models are developing capabilities akin to digital nuclear weapons, I take that very seriously. When Secretary of War Pete Hegseth says CXMT and Alibaba are Chinese military companies and that AI will redefine the character of military affairs over the next decade, I take that very seriously. These are real battlefields and real casualties. Today, it's Ukraine, Iran, Venezuela. Tomorrow, potentially Taiwan and China. Those are the stakes of the AI arms race. President Trump has been clear about how to win. Stop the commies in Beijing from getting or using our crown jewel technologies against us. BIS is the tip of the spear in this tech war. The BIS Undersecretary is not just a sheriff enforcing pre-existing rules. He is the lead general in the AI arms race, tasked with designing and enforcing strategies to fulfill the commander's guidance. President Trump has issued 4 main goals for BIS as a commander's guidance. 1, no black wells for China. 2, close export control loopholes as stated in the America First trade policy memo. 3, tighten controls on chip-making equipment and stop our allies from undermining our export controls from the AI Action Plan. 4, no Chinese military end users or remote access as stated in the national security conditions in the H-200 rule. These are the President's metrics for success. We need to know now what BIS needs to get the job done, and I mean the entire job, not just one part of it. Success is not stopping only some of the black wells smuggled into China. It means stopping all of them. Success isn't stopping some chip-making tools from Chinese AI chip makers. It means stopping all of the advanced tools. Success means putting every company that Department of War has identified as a Chinese military company on the entity list. Why? Because they are looking to create every AI inroad they can to accessing every American bank account, every American stock portfolio, every municipal water treatment center, all for the purpose of being able to cause destruction. Those are the stakes. They're looking to be able to more quickly assess every capability in the Pacific against the United States of America's military. The House Foreign Affairs Committee has done its part. We've marked up more than 20 export control bills to execute on the commander's guidance. And to be clear, these bills we're pushing on this committee are being proposed because they need to be there to get the job done. That's why we are proposing these bills. We support the President's request to increase BIS's budget because that's what is needed to get the job done in this high-stakes race. There have been significant enforcement successes. Stopping approvals of licenses for blacklisted companies is an important achievement, and we congratulate you on the work that you've done there. But key orders from the President need to be fulfilled 100%. BIS has not added entities to the list in 2025 since October of 25. We need to see more of those entities added to the list. It is important that BIS makes licensing decisions, including denials, in a timely manner and provides clarity to American businesses. That is something that we want to support you on. BIS and the House Foreign Affairs Committee, working together, have to carry out the President's vision. We have to win this new Cold War against the commies in Beijing that are trying to steal everything that they can, and you are the shield from preventing them from stealing everything that they can. I thank you for coming today, Undersecretary, and I look forward to hearing your testimony. I would ask now unanimous consent that the member from Michigan, Chairman of the Committee on CCP, Chairman Molinar, be advanced to sit on the dais and participate in today's hearing without objection. Chair now recognizes, actually I will say this first because Ranking Member Meeks is not here right now. Other members of the committee are reminded that opening statements may be submitted for the record. We are pleased to have you, Undersecretary for Industry and Security, Jeffrey Kessler, before us today. Thank you for joining us again. Your full statements will be made a part of the record. I'll ask you to keep your spoken remarks to 5 minutes in order to allow time for members' questions. And I'll also thank you for the times that you've joined us in the skiff as well to give us classified briefing. You made yourself very accessible, and we appreciate that. And I now recognize you for any opening statement that you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to you all. Let me start by offering my condolences to you, to this body, on the passing of your colleague, Senator Lindsey Graham, a statesman and a patriot whose service elevated and strengthened the country. Chairman Mast and distinguished members of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, thank you for inviting me to testify today on the fiscal year 2027 President's budget request for the Department of Commerce's Bureau of Industry and Security. BIS's mission is to safeguard the crown jewels of the American economy, our critical technology and supply chains. Under the leadership of President Trump and Secretary Lutnick, BIS is fulfilling this mission more strongly than ever. Consider the enforcement of our export laws. Before the Trump administration, the penalties for export violations were anemic. Licenses were being rubber-stamped, even for sensitive technologies and entity-listed companies. Too many in the business community viewed export controls as a cost of doing business, not a reason to change behavior. All of that has changed dramatically under this administration. From 2024 to 2025, the total...
Okay, so various meetings on Capitol Hill right now, as you see there, about AI. There's one also about the Federal Reserve. Also seeing just now that there is a House GOP press conference happening at the RNC. So maybe it'll dip into that in just a second. We're also hearing, well, I'm hearing from our next to the studio, some of the phone calls, some of the landlines. When they start ringing, that means we're getting close to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Let's get to some of our sponsors here on Right Side. Let's go to our first one here on Right Side, as it's almost 11 o'clock on the East Coast. So we have All Family Pharmacy, of course, and being prepared can make all the difference when it comes to your family's health care. Whether you need an everyday prescription, medication for a common illness, or simply want to keep your medicine cabinet stocked, it's always better to plan ahead, of course. That's why we recommend All Family Pharmacy. They offer more than 400 medications, from maintenance medications and antibiotics to ivermectin, GLP-1 therapies, NAD+, and other wellness options. And what really sets them apart is their customer service. When you call, you actually get a real person who can help you. Whether you're placing an order or have questions about your prescription or need guidance through the process, their team is there for you. You don't have to call, leave a voicemail, hope that somebody calls you back in an hour, like a few other places out there. You can even speak with a licensed pharmacist if you have medication questions. So ordering is simple. Complete a secure online medical questionnaire. One of their licensed physicians reviews your information and, if appropriate, writes you a prescription. Your medication is then shipped directly to your door. And I believe what I saw online is within 2 to 4 days. So I think it's 2 to 3 days where you get that. And there may be a quicker option as well online. So allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN10 promo code. You get 10% off. Also, that phone number, as you see on the bottom of your screen, it's 561-717-6794. Let's go to our next sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, we wouldn't be celebrating America 250 if it wasn't for a strong foundation set by our framers. Alexander Hamilton built America's financial foundation on the principle of sound, stable money, a principle later embodied by the gold standard. However, we abandoned that discipline in 1971 and have since seen inflation erode the dollar's value. So what is the foundation of your savings? Is it gold or something that can be shaken, disrupted, or devalued? Birch Gold Group has been helping Americans solidify their savings with gold for the past 15 years. They'll help you convert an existing IRA or a 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Learn how gold fits into your portfolio by texting that word Trump to 989898. Again, it's Trump to 989898. You'll receive that free, no obligation info kit as well. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews, let Birch Gold help build your foundation with gold. Text that word Trump to 989898 to get the ball rolling and get that free info kit with Birch Gold Group. So from All Family Pharmacy to Birch Gold Group to 11:01 Eastern Time, this is RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks again for watching here live, also on replay as we get ready to see President Trump with this bilateral meeting that he has. He's hosting the Iraqi Prime Minister, Ali al-Zaidi, at the White House. Any minute from now, he'll be greeting the leader outside of the White House, the West Wing awning, and then scheduled for about 11:15 Eastern Time, the two leaders will meet. So we'll see the two leaders there live right in front of that fireplace. Of course, the opening statements between both leaders, and then the Q&A with the press. So a lot going on just this morning, and that's just within all the other news within the 24/7 news cycle. Specifically, let's go to an ongoing House GOP press conference at the RNC. Director, do we have that feed up and ready to go? Okay, let's go to that right now.
Come on. Come on, people now. Shine on your brother. Everybody get together. That is quite the contraction. Oh, yeah. Well, good morning, everybody. And before we begin, I want to take a moment to honor the life and legacy of Senator Lindsey Graham. Senator Graham was a stalwart defender of conservative values, a staunch ally of President Trump, and a devoted public servant. And he spent decades fighting for the country that he loved. His sudden passing is a tremendous loss, not only for South Carolina, but for our entire Republican Party, but for our entire nation. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family, his friends, his staff, and all of those who knew him and loved him. Senator Graham understood that freedom is never guaranteed. It must be defended at home and around the world from those who seek to destroy it. And for most of history, Americans could agree on one basic principle. Communism is evil. It crushes freedom, and it destroys prosperity. It gives enormous power to a small oligarchy who believe they know how everyone else should live. We didn't agree on everything. We understood that communism is the enemy of everything America was actually built to be. Sadly, not anymore. Today, communist candidates aren't hiding in the shadows. They are running openly and winning the seats. And they are preparing to bring their ideology to the United States Congress. Our guest today, Mr. Jimenez, knows exactly where that ideology leads. His family fled communist Cuba in search of freedom here in America. And in a moment, you'll hear directly from him. When people who have lived under communism warn us about what is happening, we actually should listen because they've been there, they've experienced it, and they fled to a better place called America. Because it's not just one radical person. It's not just two. It's in double digits. Actually, communists serving in the Congress of the United States of America. And that should actually horrify everyone. Because communism is not some fashionable theory dreamed up in a college classroom. It's already been tried, and we already know where it leads. And where does communism lead? It leads to breadlines in the Soviet Union, political prisons in Cuba, and starving children in Venezuela. Different countries, different decades, but same results. Communists have failed everywhere it has been tried. It's destroyed every nation unfortunate enough to fall under its control. Remember when the Berlin Wall fell? Remember that? Everyone ran to the American side, not the communist Russia side. Everyone ran to the side of freedom. But the left keeps insisting that this time somehow it will be different. Let me share with you, it will not be different. The slogans may change, but the consequences never do. And that's not some distant warning about what could happen years from now. It's happening right now in real time. Look at under communist Mandami. Look at his New York City, right? Remember he preaches everything's going to be free, free grocery stores, free rent. Ask Mayor Mandami what happened to rent in his beloved city of New York City. Let me share with you the facts, not the rhetoric, but the facts. The median asking rent is now almost $5,300 a month in Manhattan and $4,300 a month in Brooklyn. Guess what? Those are higher than before he took over with his communist ideology. Rents increased. Mr. Mandami, what happened to free rent? What happened to free? Last I checked, $5,300 a month is a heck of a lot more expensive than free. But don't let the facts get in the way of a good story, right? These are real life consequences of the communist experiment. Working families are actually paying the price. And what makes this moment even more disturbing is the contempt that these people have for the country they actually want to lead. Miss Chevalier admitted that she used the American flag as a napkin. A napkin. The flag that has been draped over coffins of 18-year-old service members who never ever got to come home. It has been carried on the battlefield, folded with reverence, and handed to families whose lives will never be whole again. For some families, that folded flag is the last piece of their loved one that they will ever receive. Around the world, people living under tyranny see that flag and dream about standing underneath it. Some risk their lives just for the chance to stand underneath it. And the Democratic Party, these people that they want to send to Washington, they want to wipe their greasy little hands with the American flag. Then there's Ms. Vang, a Democrat candidate for Congress who refuses to recite the Pledge of Allegiance and has turned her back on the American flag. That's nice. And now she wants to come to Congress? Are you kidding me? And the Democrats want to send her to Congress? No way. If you cannot face the American flag, you have no business representing the American people. If you despise the country, then you do not deserve to lead it. And if your goal is to tear down everything our founders built, Republicans will stand in your way every single day. This is no longer a debate between slightly different economic policies. This is a choice between freedom and tyrannical government control, between the American dream and the failed nightmare of communism, between the people who believe America is actually worth defending and the radicals who want to destroy it and actually seem embarrassed to represent it. These are all people who hate our country and everything that our country stands for. But you know what? I have great news for them. The beauty about living in America, the beauty about freedom, is they are actually free to leave. So if you hate this country so much, there's flights leaving every day. I welcome you to get on one of those flights and leave the country that you despise so much. Because as Republicans, we love this country. We love the principles that it was built on. And we want to stay and continue this country for our children and our grandchildren. The communist left wants to replace that with dependency, coercion, censorship, and oppressive government control over nearly every part of American life. We won't let that happen. We will defend this country, and we will make certain that communism never takes root in the United States of America. And now somebody who knows that, who has lived that, who has experienced both sides, Carlos Jimenez, is here to speak on the actual effects of communism. I'll move the box.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. And it certainly is a pleasure for me to be here to tell my story of how I got to be here, how I got to be a United States congressman. And it starts in 1959. We had a revolution. Fidel Castro promised that we were going to have in Cuba, where I was born, we're going to have elections in 6 months. Free and democratic elections in 6 months. It's 67 years. We're still waiting. We're still waiting. So the promise that a better life is to come and that you're going to have a free and open democracy is false. When you look at the Democratic Socialist agenda, it says that they want to eliminate the Senate, they want to eliminate the presidency, they want to stack the courts. Now, why would they want to do that? They want to do that so they create one body, which, by the way, the only people allowed to run for that body will be members of the Democratic.
Okay, so we'll go back to that GOP, that House GOP press conference happening at the RNC in just a little bit. We're also seeing that the White House is about to give that live feed. So as soon as we see that, we'll go to the president meeting with the Iraqi prime minister. Following that, we'll get back into some more on Capitol Hill as we continue our coverage post President Trump's meeting. All right, a lot to get through as we go to our next sponsor here on Right Side. Now, this one is pretty cool. FreeUSADoggift.com. Who doesn't like something that's free? It literally is. You can see it right there. FreeUSADoggift.com. As we take a minute to speak to all the parents watching today, it's officially the dog days of summer. And if your house is anything like ours used to be, that means the dog sprawls out on the coolest tile floor he can find, refusing to move for anyone. It seems our dogs tend to run the house, and honestly, we wouldn't have it any other way. Well, here's a fun fact. Our founding fathers were the exact same way. Turns out long before they were founding a nation, they were the original dog people, at least in what will be the United States of America. Tails wagging in the halls of Mount Vernon and Monticello, muddy paw prints on important documents. You know, our founders loved their dogs every bit as much as we love ours today. With America's 250th birthday, what better way to get kids excited about history than through the goofy, loyal, tail-wagging companions who were there for it all. Our friends at The Kids Guide have put together a great guide called The Kids Guide to the Founders' Furry Friends, giving kids a fun and heartwarming look at the dogs who stood and sat and probably begged for scraps beside our nation's founders. It's the perfect keepsake souvenir for kids, and they're giving it away for free at freeusadoggift.com. Plus, when you request that copy, they're also giving you a second free guide called The Kids Guide to the Founders' Message for Today, a must-read for every child. So, during these dog days of summer, head on over to freeusadoggift.com and you'll get these free guides for your family and help celebrate America's 250th birthday the right way. Let's go from Free USA Dog Gift to tnusa.com. So we're looking at Tax Network USA. Of course, if you have any, back taxes or just have a number of questions, financial questions, specifically when it comes to taxes and all of the different kinds of fees and all the stuff, that's the place to call right there, 877-479-6503. And you see the website there as well, because however your tax issue started, unfortunately the outcome is the same. Your balance not going down, penalties grow, interest compounds. So the IRS, we know too, is not waiting. The IRS is enforcing collections through wage garnishments, bank levies, and property seizures, and they can even file for you without your consent. So this is where Tax Network USA comes in. With more than 15 years in business, there hasn't been a tax case they haven't seen or resolved. They specialize in tax controversies and help taxpayers nationwide get back on track by resolving back taxes and unfiled returns once and for all. So whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their team has resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. They can do the same for you, but you have to call now. They're offering a free investigation call with the IRS, and after that investigation, then they put a clear case plan in place to resolve your tax problem and get you back on track. This is really about using your legal rights to take control before the government sets the terms for you. So don't wait for another IRS letter or a frozen bank account. Those are the numbers right there, 877-479-6503, or visit tnusa.com/RSBN. All right, so 11:15 Eastern time is the scheduled time that we are to see President Trump and the Iraqi leader Ali al-Zaidi meet at the Oval Office. So as soon as we see that live feed, we will take you there. Of course, we'll hear from the president and we'll hear from the Iraqi leader, their opening statements, and then questions and answers from the press. So we'll have that live coverage right here in just a second. Speaking of live coverage, we have a lot going on tomorrow and Thursday as well. So tomorrow at 2:30 Eastern, President Trump will be in my home state of Pennsylvania, Carlisle, Pennsylvania to be exact, for a roundtable at the Pennsylvania Defense and Innovation Summit. So our coverage will most likely start around 1 o'clock, 1:30. For that 2:30 speech tomorrow. And then on Thursday night, President Trump addresses the nation in a primetime address. Our coverage starts at 7:30 Eastern. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side.
It's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
So we're seeing a video of the Iraqi Prime Minister and President Trump meeting outside of the West Wing awning and, of course, going into the White House. So soon we're going to be seeing the two leaders right there at the Oval Office on that right side of your screen. So as we get that video ready to go, we also have a Truth Social post from President Donald J. Trump. He posted this within the past 20 minutes saying, quote, "Oil is flowing like never before, thanks to the awesome power of the United States military. A special salute to Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff Dan Kane, and Commander of the United States Central Command Admiral Brad Cooper. Because of them and all members of the most powerful military anywhere in the world by far, the Strait of Hormuz is open to all ship traffic except for Iran, and that is because of their lying, violent, malicious leadership, which is taking them down the path of total destruction. We will therefore have a full blockade, but only on ships coming to and from Iranian ports or carrying anything have to do with Iranian cargo. Based on highly productive conversations with Middle East leadership, I have decided to replace the 20% United States reimbursement fee with trade and investment deals that the various Gulf states will be making into the United States. Those investments will be massive, but at the same time, extraordinarily good for them and their future. As everyone is aware, we have the largest dollar investment into the United States of any country in history, but these new investments will make that number even larger, and we will see factories, plants, and equipment pour into the United States at historic levels, which will create additional millions of high-paying American jobs. The president says America is winning again, winning like never before. The days of Iran killing hundreds of thousands of people, including 52,000 protesters, are over. And most importantly, Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. I know that's a lot of words on the screen there, but I just read them to you. So here we are, live on Right Side Broadcasting Network, looking at the beautiful Thomas Jefferson Memorial here on RSBN. Before we get into some more details about not only upcoming programming, We're going to go over those primary election days and states for you just again, as July 21st is the next one for the Grand Canyon State, Arizona. We'll talk about the states and the rest of the primary election days coming up, but let's go to some sponsors in the meantime as we await President Donald Trump. All right, let's go to All Family Pharmacy. Of course, 10% off right out of the gate with the RSBN promo code. You know, by now, if you're a loyal viewer to the network, you know that All Family Pharmacy is a great American independent, kind of a boutique pharmacy in some ways, because their customer service is light years ahead of those box stores out there, those pharmacies that most likely have you leave a voicemail. Hopefully you'll get a call back and they're just so busy. No time for you. Well, that's not really good customer service, but All Family Pharmacy knocks it out of the park. Similarly to, I guess it was a St. Louis Cardinal that won the home run derby yesterday in Philadelphia. Anyway, being prepared can make all the difference when it comes to your family's health care. Whether you need an everyday prescription medication for a common illness or simply want to keep your medicine cabinet stocked, it's always better to plan ahead. And that's why we recommend All Family Pharmacy. They offer more than 400 medications, from maintenance medications and antibiotics to ivermectin, GLP-1 therapies, NAD+, and other wellness options. And what really sets them apart is their customer service. When you call, you actually get a real person who can help. Whether you're placing an order, have questions about your prescription, or need guidance through the process, their team is there for you. You can even speak with a licensed pharmacist if you have medication questions. And ordering is simple. Complete a secure online medical questionnaire, and then one of their licensed physicians reviews your information and, if appropriate, writes your prescription. Your medication is then shipped directly to your door. Visit allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that promo code RSBN10 to save that 10%, and there's that number, 561-717-6794. Let's go from AFP to BGG, Birch Gold Group. We wouldn't be celebrating America 250 if it wasn't for a strong foundation set by the framers. Alexander Hamilton, you know, he built America's financial foundation on the principle of sound, stable money, a principle later embodied by the gold standard. However, we abandoned that, of course, in 1971 and have since seen inflation erode the dollar's value. So what is the foundation really of your savings? You know, is it gold or something that could be shaken, disrupted, or devalued? Birch Gold Group has been helping Americans solidify their savings with gold for the past 15 years, and they can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. Learn how gold fits into your portfolio by texting the word Trump to that number, 989898. You'll receive that free, no-obligation info kit. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews, you can let Birch Gold Group help build your foundation with gold. Text the word Trump to the number 989898. Again, text Trump to 989898. And I did that, you know, I think this was last year I tried it, because if I'm going to talk about all this stuff with you guys, I want to do the same thing that you would do. So I did it, and they're not pushy at all. They will send you an info kit, whether right there on your text message, or you can get a hard copy. And you just, if you have more questions, you can line up a call and take care of business. So it's good stuff there, both by All Family Pharmacy and Birch Gold Group. Again, great products and all that, but the customer service aspect, an A+. All right, so almost the bottom of the hour here. I believe we may have the video of President Trump meeting with the Iraqi Prime Minister, at least outside of the West Wing, the awning. It looks like we don't have that at this point, as we are looking for the live feed in the meantime. So once again, here are the remaining primary election days leading up to the November 3rd election. So maybe we could take a live look into D.C. as we read this list here and as we await the president. Beautiful blue skies. Now, I did check the weather, though. Whoa, 94 today in D.C. And then on top of that, it looks like 100 tomorrow and 100 on Thursday. So really, I know that it's summertime, I get it, but those temps are usually something you see down here in the southeast, maybe out there in Arizona, which is higher than 100. But DC in the northeast, not always in that 100-degree mark. So triple digits there in Washington. It is getting hot. Speaking of Arizona, July 21st, that is a primary election day for, I love Arizona. Those of you watching from the Grand Canyon State, my wife and I got engaged out there in Sedona Went to a AmFest 2022, I think it was, conference there. I just love that state, beautiful area. Not going to move there. I have a family on this side of the Mississippi, but anyway, let's get back to some more details here. All right, so July 28th, there's a runoff election in South Dakota. Been to that state as well. Saw Mount Rushmore for President Trump's speech a while ago. Anyway, enough about me. All right. So August 4th, Kansas, Michigan, Missouri, Virginia, and Washington State. That is the date for the primary elections. August 6th, Tennessee. And let me just stop there. I was going to continue on the list, and I still will, but Tennessee, guys, come on now. The volunteer state. I used to live there. A beautiful state. The Smoky Mountains, you have Knoxville, you have the Volunteers, college football, you have Nashville, Music City, USA, Memphis with Elvis, and just good people too, just throughout that state. And there was some report recently, I think it was CNBC, that did this poll that said, here are the top 10 states that are the worst states to live in. And Tennessee was number 1, Texas was 2, and Georgia was on the list. Alabama was on the list. I call the biggest amount of BS I've ever seen in my life. Get off of Tennessee and get off of Georgia and Indiana and the other states that were on the list. Why even make a list like that? Anyway, I don't know. I didn't like it. August 8th, Hawaii. I've never been there. That is a primary election day, August 8th. August 11th, there are some races here in Alabama for U.S. House districts 1, 2, 6, and 7. That's the only primary election voting for the House there. Most other Alabama races were on May 19th. Also on August 11th, Connecticut, Minnesota, Vermont, and Wisconsin. Of course, Minnesota, looking at that one too with the gubernatorial race as Mike Lindell ideally will win that one. Man, that'd be great. Moving on to August 18th, Alaska, Florida, Wyoming. I'm naming the states that have primary elections and their dates coming up. August 25th, there's a runoff in Oklahoma. And then there are 4 dates in September with Massachusetts on September 1st, New Hampshire September 8th, Rhode Island September 9th, and Delaware September 15th. Now, September 9th and 10th, as we've mentioned here before, is that RNC midterm national convention. So that's in Dallas, Texas. Outside of that, I mean, that's really leading up into that November 3rd midterm election in our country. And speaking of elections, are we going to see any momentum? You know, somebody told me one time, momentum is like the snowball. It's, it starts at the top of the hill, and as it rolls down the hill or rolls down the mountain, it gets larger and larger and larger, and there's a lot of momentum. Well, if the momentum right now for the Save America Act is more like a raindrop. It's not even frozen yet. It's not even a snowball. President Trump's doing his part. He's out there talking about the Save America Act every other day, it seems like. But for some reason, on Capitol Hill, it's just a raindrop. It needs to be this massive avalanche of momentum because we, the people, want it that way. We, the people, have that momentum, but the people that we elected into our offices just seem to be like, oh, whatever. Well, we, the people, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Not cool. Let's get this Save America Act passed. Let's get that momentum going. We'll see what happens, Fighting for our freedom. I know I say it a lot. Fighting for our freedom legally, lawfully, spiritually. All right, let's go to a couple sponsors as we're still awaiting the president's meeting with the Iraqi prime minister. Let's go to Kalshi, kalshi.com/RSBN. Of course, there's a lot of topics on there you can choose from, whether it's politics, elections, music, faith, weather, sports, movies. And people are just putting money on the line and they're betting. And they're saying things like, okay, what will it be like in New York today with the weather? They're actually putting money on the line for that. But there's other polls out there and other things. As you see there's a Republican RNC logo there, the 2028 Republican presidential nominee, and the list of possibilities. So anyway, if you'd like to go, there's 3 ways to get there. Sometimes in life, you're driving down the road. Which way are you going to get to your destination? You see the blue lines on your Apple Maps or whatever. Well, there's 3 ways to get to Kalshi. The QR code, which you can get right now if you'd like. You can go to kalshi.com/RSBN, or you can go to your app store and just download Kalshi. So 3 great ways to get to Kalshi. Let's go to one more sponsor here on right side, covepure.com/RSBN. You know, most of us know that there's this chlorine, of course, in our tap water. We smell it, we shrug, then we drink it anyway because we've been told it's what keeps our water safe. But what they don't tell you is what chlorine becomes after it's added to your water, and that's why it's so important to filter your water through Cove Pure. Chlorine itself isn't really even the biggest problem. Chlorine levels in your water are regulated, but what's not regulated is chemicals that form when chlorine reacts with naturally occurring organic matter from rivers, soil, and plant matter. When chlorine interacts with those particles, it creates chemical byproducts called THMs, and the government itself calls THMs, quote, probable human carcinogens. And then they've been linked to disruption of your gut and also cancer. Those pitcher filters that you see at the store, they just won't fix this. They improve the taste of chlorine, but THMs require something far more powerful, and that's exactly what Cove Pure is. Their ClearWave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. So it's not just chlorine or THMs, fluoride, PFAs, pharmaceuticals. You know, basically they take all that stuff out. So if it isn't water, Cove Pure removes it. And this thing doesn't take up much room at all. Just, you can see it on the screen there. It looks super sleek, sits right on your countertop, and you don't have to drill any holes or call in someone to install it. You just plug it in. The best part about Cove Pure is it lets you choose whatever temperature you want. So no more waiting for the kettle to boil to make a cup of tea or coffee. Just tap a button and you get hot, cold, or warm water instantly. And this isn't just tap water again, this is through the filter. So you get that hot, cold, or warm. Pretty cool stuff. And the feedback on Cove Pure from our viewers has been incredible. And people have told us that they can literally taste the difference. Clean water, of course, is one of the best investments you can make for your family's health. Right now, they're giving RSBN viewers $250 off if you use our link. So just go to covepure.com/RSBN. Again, covepure.com/RSBN. Drink pure, live pure, Cove Pure. Good stuff there with our great sponsors on right side. I love Cove Pure. I do love Cove Pure. I love them all, but I really like Cove Pure because, you know, again, I've said this before about being a water snob. You know how sometimes people are a certain snob of things? Well, water is one of mine. I have to have good taste in water. If I'm at a restaurant and they're like, would you like a water? I'm like, no. No thanks. Anyway. All right, so Director, go ahead. Can you repeat? Okay, awesome. I just heard from the director in my ear. Let's go to that video of President Trump meeting with the Iraqi Prime Minister. This happened just moments ago at the West Wing awning, and then as soon as we see that live feed of the two in front of the fireplace at the Oval Office, we'll take you there.
Hold on.
We love Iraq, and they're well represented. This man just won a big election. They are very well represented. I can tell you that. Thank you very much.
Hold on.
Iraq, and they're well represented. This man just won a big election. They are very well represented. I can tell you that. Thank you very much.
All right, so that happened moments ago, and again, we'll see any minute from now the two leaders meeting there live. Also, if you're just joining us, of course, we have a couple programming notes for you. Tomorrow, President Trump will be in Pennsylvania for a roundtable at the Pennsylvania Defense and Innovation Summit. That'll be in Carlisle, PA. That's at 2:30 Eastern Time. We'll go live a little bit prior to that. And then on Thursday night, President Trump addresses the nation in a prime time address. Our coverage starts right here at 7:30 Eastern Time on Thursday evening. So looking forward to hearing that speech. I've seen various reports from other networks about what this speech may be about, but I'm not going to report that because it's MS Now. or it's whoever else is out there. I've only seen it from MS Now, so I'm not going to say MS Now says. Who watches that? Anyway, let's do this. As soon as we hear any kind of information, maybe from the White House on that Thursday night speech, we'll gladly share that with you. And of course, we hear from President Trump himself. I'm sure the reporters will try and ask him these questions today, tomorrow, leading up to that speech. And loosely, I will say this. People are talking about that it might be something to do with elections or something along that general point there. Unless I have a source tell me from the White House, which I do have sources, who doesn't as a journalist? That's part of the job, right? But unless I see from them that there's a statement in regards to that speech, then we'll just wait until the speech actually happens. So that'll be, again, Thursday night. As we've been live here since 10:15 this morning, why don't we go to the GOP House press conference? Unless, Director, are you hearing a 2-minute warning or anything? Okay, then let's do this. Let's go to clip number 6 then. We have a Customs and Border Patrol clip that was, I believe, posted pretty recently on that page. Let's go there.
For the first time in our country's history, we've established one frontline law enforcement agency at our nation's borders. As guardians of our borders, you protect our nation both at and between our ports of entry.
We devised a defense strategy to protect our economy and our nation, and we built systems and centers to assess the risk of cargo and passengers coming to our shores from abroad.
The continuing threat of terrorism, the threat of mass murder on our own soil, will be met with a unified, effective response. Dozens of agencies charged with Homeland Security will now be located within one cabinet department with the mandate and legal authority to protect our people.
On the mission side, we are both the guardian of our nation's borders and the gateway to the U.S. economy. We're at the center of our government's efforts to protect the United States against terrorist and transnational crimes, strengthen the U.S. economy by welcoming growing trade and travel, and building the global system with our partners in North America and abroad.
CBP's workforce is without a doubt the greatest asset that we have. Law enforcement personnel that selflessly provide this service to America increasingly perform under difficult conditions and uphold the integrity of our immigration system. And today, the United States, because of these efforts, enjoys the most secure border in our nation's history.
CBP was formed in 2003 mostly because of some deficiencies that the government realized after 9/11. It brought together some seemingly disparate agencies, but agencies that had similar purposes and which kind of complemented each other. I like to say that 1776 created the United States, but you do not get a functioning government without money. And United States Customs Service helps to keep that government functioning. Customs was formed in 1789 to basically collect fees from people importing things into the country. This is what the U.S. government was funded on until really the creation of the income tax as a permanent fixture and after World War I. Immigration and Naturalization Services traces its heritage to 1891. It came about because in the 1870s through the 1920s, the United States is having an immigration boom. Hundreds of thousands, millions of people are coming here. And so Immigration and Naturalization Services really has to deal with helping immigrants come to the country, making that a little bit more smooth. We want to protect from bringing illnesses into the country that might decimate populations. Illnesses like typhoid, tuberculosis, anything that's going to spread very quickly in a city. We want to protect the agricultural output of the country, so having animal, plant, and health inspectors at each border helps to protect from invasive species that are coming in that might harm crops. So U.S. Border Patrol was formed in 1924 to maintain the integrity of U.S. borders from any number of threats, but mostly from people coming into the country and people trying to bring illegal products. In the 1920s, and specifically 1924, is the middle of the height of Prohibition. So alcohol was illegal, and people would try to do anything they could to get around those laws. And you needed really a Border Patrol who could kind of help to protect that. The border is vast. It's hundreds and hundreds of miles. It encompasses every single kind of environmental terrain. So there's desert, there's rivers, there's mountains, and Border Patrol has to patrol all of that. So you need a lot of different people on a lot of different conveyances and horses and everything you can possibly think of to protect that border. And it is a vastly different terrain from the Pacific to the Atlantic, and then from north to south. In 2003, it comes together in one agency. The new mission is really to protect from international threats to the United States, to its sovereignty, to its people, to its crops, anything you can possibly think of. So CBP is a great, agency because it can look to the past to understand how to combat potential threats in the future.
This live stream broadcast brought to you by mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, you see Mike Lindell there as he's running for governor coming up in, I think it's August 11th is primary election day there in Minnesota. We've had him on this show a lot talking about that campaign. And outside of that, mypillow.com, also based in Minnesota, the whole factory and all of that. So a lot of great products, as you know, made right here in the United States of America. Check it out, mypillow.com/RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate, rsbnetwork.com/donate. And you might wonder, wait, aren't you guys a news network? Why are you asking for money? Well, watch this. It's called Grassroots, right? This is not a network that has corporate, huge sponsors that are woke corporate sponsors, right? We wouldn't really work with them anyway. For those that have donated over the years, thank you so much for doing so, as we are now 11 years young, I believe, right? The years are mixing together a little bit. I remember us talking about how we were 10 years old it was last summer. So now 11 years, I've been going strong, really. I mean, think about it. Just the other day, you think about President Trump's rallies back in the day, right? All of the campaign speeches and all of that. And in some cases, there were 400,000 people watching one of them, or there was maybe 1 million watching something. Or the election night in 2024, more than 4 or 5 million people. How about inauguration? The same thing. Well, just recently, July 3rd and July 4th, also more than 1 million, pushing, I think, 2 million viewers across all social media platforms. So great to see those numbers out there. But that's my point. Still going strong because we see that the right side of history, right? That's what most of this country is a part of. And so it's great that you guys would choose us here day in and day out. And ideally, our numbers continually grow here at Right Side. But also, it does cost money to keep the operation going. So rsbnetwork.com/donate is the website. All right. Speaking of President Trump, there's a video from the White House that was just released. It's really a stirring video of absolute patriotism. Let's take a look at clip number 1 as we await President Trump there at the White House.
Donald was the young man who was going to conquer Manhattan. He takes chances that would make a less daring man shudder.
To think about the arc of where he's been, it's like some sort of mythical story or something.
This sounds like political presidential talk to me.
Donald Trump seems to always get stronger when challenged.
My God, that guy's got resilience.
Those who deal with you underestimate you, but they regret it.
It's always good to be underestimated.
It is not about politics. It's about our love for this great country, America, and we're not going to let it fail. I will fight like no one has ever fought before.
Trump is the bodyguard of Western civilization.
You want to talk about a fighter, a walk through fire? He's an absolute savage.
He knows that this is much bigger than him. This is about the American people.
They have no idea what they have unleashed
he was ready to go face the cameras and come out swinging.
What will future Americans say we did in our brief time here on Earth? It will be defined by your vision, your perseverance, and your grit. Nothing will sway us, nothing will slow us, and no one will ever stop us. We are Americans. Ambition is our heritage. Greatness is our birthright. And the future belongs to us.
If you saw one of the videos there in that video of President Trump in the pouring down rain, wearing a hat, he was at a speech. It was in Miami, Florida. I was there with a colleague of mine, actually two colleagues. And I remember that storm, and it's a story we've told here on Right Side before, but you know, I'm a weather nerd. I like tracking storms and all of that, and I talk about this a couple times too. Radar scope, right, is one of the best radars out there. There was this huge storm on the way, and President Trump, he kept going. And so what we'll do is, if there's time, it just depends how long we're going to be on a delay right now. At 11:15 Eastern was the scheduled start time for the bilateral meeting with President Trump and the Iraqi Prime Minister. So what I'll do is, we're going to continue to play a few videos, but I'm going to look in the archives and see if we can get that clip going of when President Trump just kept on keeping on. Back in Miami, Florida, when it was during the campaign season. I believe it was November of 2022 when this storm came through, and that was a clip that we just saw there. In the meantime, if you're just joining us, we do talk 24/7 news cycle stories, of course. We're just on a delay right now, and seeing that live picture there, of course, of the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. So let's go to just yesterday. You know, the Freedom 250 Grand Prix showcase happened. Let's take a look at that video right now.
Up the pit stop, first ever pit stop here at the White House. What an incredible experience, and this is all to celebrate America's 250th.
We can't wait to see you August 23rd. What do we have to wait for, David?
This was just a little taste of the pit stops that we're going to have in a race scenario. We're all going to be pushing the limits, everything you can. It's going to be beautiful chaos is how I would explain it. Goosebumps, it's everything you're going to want to be. It's the best way to celebrate America's 250th, so make sure you're there.
All right, and also shifting now from 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue to U.S. Central Command. So CENTCOM completed the latest wave of strikes against Iran last night around 10 o'clock Eastern time. Here's a video from the U.S. Armed Forces simply sharing with you what we're seeing here at Right Side. All right, so that from CENTCOM just yesterday as we're taking a look at various stories that are happening out there right now. Looking at the following from the White House, President Donald J. Trump welcomes Iraqi Prime Minister Ali al-Zaidi to the White House. We did play that video earlier. Let's play clip 9 again as we upload that Miami, Florida rally as we are just, reminiscing just a little bit on this, quite a delay here. That's all right. Let's go to clip 9 as this happened within the hour.
represented. This man just won a big election. They are very well represented. I can tell you that. Thank you very much. We love Iraq, and they're well represented. This man just won a big election. They are very well represented. I can tell you that. Thank you very much.
All right, so seeing the president there as we are still awaiting the White House information as we get ready to see the president there meet with the Iraqi leader. Let's go to a couple of our sponsors in the meantime. Let's go to freedoggiftusa.com. I want to take a minute to speak to all the parents watching today. It's officially the dog days of summer, of course, and if your house is anything like ours used to be, that means the dog sprawls out on the coolest tile floor he or she can find, refusing to move for anyone. And it seems our dogs tend to run the house, and honestly, we wouldn't have it any other way, or would we? Well, here's a fun fact. Our founding fathers were the exact same way. Turns out, long before they were founding a nation, they were the original dog people, tails wagging in the halls of Mount Vernon and Monticello, muddy paw prints on important documents, probably. Our founders love their dogs every bit as much as we love ours today. So with America's 250th birthday, what better way to get kids excited about history than through the goofy, loyal, tail-wagging companions who were there for it all. Now, our friends at the Kids Guide have put together a great guide called The Kids Guide to the Founders' Furry Friends, giving kids a fun and heartwarming look at the dogs who stood and sat and probably begged for scraps beside our nation's founders. It's the perfect keepsake souvenir for kids, and they're giving it away for free at freeusadoggift.com. Plus, when you request your copy, they're also giving you a second free guide called The Kids Guide to the Founder's Message for Today, a must-read for every child. So during these dog days of summer, head on over to freeusadoggift.com and get these free guides for your family and help celebrate America's 250th birthday the right way. Let's go to our next sponsor here on right side, tnusa.com/RSBN. You know, if you have some back taxes that you're dealing with, or just maybe some financial situations where you need some peace of mind when it comes to the IRS, that kind of stuff, right there is the solution. That is a great solution right there, 877-479-6503. However your tax issue started, the outcome is the same. Your balance is not going down, penalties grow, and interest compounds. And the IRS, they're not waiting. The IRS is enforcing collections through wage garnishments, bank levies, and property seizures, and they can even file for you without your consent. So this is where Tax Network USA comes in. With more than 15 years in business, there hasn't been a tax case they haven't seen or resolved. They specialize in tax controversies and help taxpayers nationwide get back on track by resolving back taxes and unfiled returns once and for all. So whether you owe $10,000 or $10 million, their team has resolved over $1 billion in tax debt. They can do the same for you, but you have to call now. They're offering a free investigation call with the IRS, and after that investigation, they put a clear case plan in place to resolve your tax problem and get you back on track. This is about using your legal rights to take control before the government sets the terms for you. So don't wait for another IRS letter or a frozen bank account. Give them a call, 877-479-6503. That's 877-479-6503, tnusa.com/RSBN. For those of you that may be on the road right now and listening to this broadcast, I only say that because, again, I remember seeing on a Truth Social post that a truck driver goes across the country and he always has RSBN on. So if you're that driver, hello to you. Thanks for hauling the stuff across this country. There's just a lot that we see out there when it comes to that need of transportation, especially goods and services. So thank you for what you're doing out there. And that reminds me of Canada. You remember when the Canadian truck drivers had to just kind of indirectly revolt to what Canada was trying to do there, stopping them for various things, whatever. Anyway, so back to it here. Director, the one clip that I sent you guys, a little inside baseball talk, just going to let you in on it, doesn't have the lower third of the RSBN. So we can go to the first one. Cool. So just to kind of bring some context here. 11:15 was the original start time for the meeting between the president and the Iraqi prime minister. As soon as we see that start, we'll take you there. When we played that one clip for you earlier, where you see President Trump in the downpour, the rain, the storms, and all of that, he still just, delivered that speech back in Miami, Florida, November 2022. And it's Tuesday, so it's not really a way back Wednesday or a throwback Thursday or a flashback Friday. It's a toss back Tuesday. Let's just go to what it was like. This is from my phone, not this phone, maybe an older phone. I was holding it just like this on the meteorizer as the rain and the storms did this.
Let's stay out of here, right? I'm not leaving.
There you go, quick clip there. There's a little bit more on that clip, but I'm hearing that the White House is about to go live, so we're gonna go there in a second. But how awesome was that, remember? Do you remember that, guys? In November 2022, Miami, Florida, and then at the end of those speeches with the music and just this very dramatic delivery there, and the president off the cuff said, "This is the best rally we've ever had." So, I mean, it was pretty cool to be a part of that. Wow, reminiscing. Okay, so anyway, let's go back to today. Today is July 14th, 2026. So that was 4 years ago, and that was, I think, just a month after I started working at Right Side. Anyway, we're going to go to this live meeting there with the Prime Minister of Iraq and the President of the United States, President Trump. So outside of that, again, if you're just joining us this second, we have a couple programming notes for you. Tomorrow, 2:30 Eastern, President Trump. Let's go to him right now.
Beautiful. Isn't it good? House. It's a great place. Well, thank you very much. We've had already a good meeting. We're going to decide to do a little lunch. It wasn't scheduled, but we are going to do it on the fly because we have a tremendous chemistry together. The Prime Minister of Iraq has been amazing. He won an election that a lot of people didn't anticipate could be won by anybody else other than another person who was not, in my opinion, a good person. Not good for America. I don't think good for Iraq. And I played a role in, it was very important to me to have somebody get in there that can do the job and do it well. And we have a fantastic champion, a new champion. And he won the election very soundly, very conclusively, and he wasn't favored. But by the time they got to know him, he ended up winning, and he's going to be there for a long time. So I just want to say it's a great honor to have the Prime Minister of Iraq with us. He's been a great fighter, and he's been a great fan of America. We'll be discussing that a little bit with you, but they have tremendous oil reserves. They have tremendous potential wealth, and they have tremendous wealth, not only potential. But he's done in a short period of time, he's changed that country so much, especially toward their thinking about the United States. And we have partnerships. Chris was just saying we have tremendous oil partnerships all of a sudden being formed over the last short period of time. And I guess you're going to be announcing them this week or next week. But massive, among the largest. So they have done a fantastic job over the last very short period of time. But they have a great leader, the new Prime Minister. He's a great leader. I think he's going to be there for a long period of time. And it's great to have you at the White House. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And he's a young man. He's young and he's handsome, which I don't like. I'm not happy about it.
شكرا جزيلا. لقد عقدنا اجتماعا جيدا وقد دعوته إلى وجبة الغداء، وهذا لم يكن ضمن البرنامج والجدول الذي اتفقنا عليه، لكن هنالك كيمياء عظيمة بيننا وبينهم. رئيس الوزراء يقوم بعمل رائع. أنا لم يتوقع أحد أنه سيفوز في هذه الانتخابات، لكن المرشح المضاد له كان شخص لم يعجبني ولم تكن لديه آراء جيدة تجاه أمريكا، لكن كان من المهم جدا لي أن تفوزوا أنتم في هذه الانتخابات، وأنتم تقومون بعمل رائع جدا. والآن لدينا فائز جديد لم تكن حظوظه كبيرة لكنه مع ذلك نجح في هذه الانتخابات. هو شرف عظيم بالنسبة لي أن أستضيف دولة رئيس الوزراء هنا في البيت الأبيض. هو محارب عظيم، وهو أيضا من المعجبين بأمريكا والولايات المتحدة. العراق طبعا دولة غنية لديها كثير من الاحتياطات النفطية، وهي دولة مليئة بالثروات، وفي وقت قصير تمكنتم من القيام بالكثير وتغيير، على الأقل تغيير شعور العراقيين تجاه أمريكا. وكما قال كريس وزير النفط وأشار إلى ذلك أن هنالك صفقات تجارية كبيرة في مجال النفط سوف يتم الإعلان عنها هذا الأسبوع. أنتم تقومون بعمل رائع وقمتم بعمل رائع خلال وقت قصير. رئيس الوزراء طبعا هو أيضا قائد عظيم، وأعتقد أنكم ستخدمون في هذا المنصب لمدة طويلة. طبعا أنتم في مقتبل العمر أنتم شاب أيضا ووسيم، وهذا طبعا لا يعجبني، لكن مع ذلك شرفني أن أستضيفكم هنا.
أشكر حفاوة الاستقبال إلى فخامة الرئيس دونالد ترامب.
Thank you for the warm welcome by His Excellency President Trump.
وهذه هي زيارتي الأولى
This is my first visit
إلى الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية.
United States of America.
فهذه الزيارة لم تكن زيارة عابرة.
This visit was not just like any visit.
وإنما زيارة إعلان شراكة اقتصادية.
Rather, it's an announcement of economic partnership.
تحدثت مع فخامة الرئيس.
Where I talked to His Excellency.
30/9 سوف تخرج القوات الأمريكية.
By 30th of September, the U.S. forces will be out of Iraq.
وسوف تدخل الشركات الأمريكية.
While the U.S. companies will be inside Iraq.
ودائما تخلق العلاقة المجتمعية هي الشراكة الاقتصادية وليس العسكرية.
While the social relations is about like economy. It's not about military relations.
أنقل تحياتي.
I would convey my greetings
من أقدم حضارة في العالم.
The oldest civilization in the world.
إلى أكبر قلب اقتصادي في العالم وتكنولوجي.
Economic and technology heart in the world.
وأكرر شكري إلى فخامة الرئيس على حفاوة الاستقبال.
My thanks to His Excellency the President for the warm welcome.
Good. Well, thank you very much. Please. Go ahead.
سمو سعادة رئيس الوزراء، ما الغرض الأمريكي لحصر سلاح الميليشيات في بلاد الدولة وكم اجتماع اليوم وعدم مهاجمة الدول جوا؟ هل هذه أهداف يمكن أن تتحقق قبل سبتمبر؟ Mr. President, if I may.
Who are you with?
I'm with Arabia. I cover the Middle East and Mobile Hospital, so I know I'm referring to it.
Okay.
Sir, is the military attack on Iran, is this a strategy to bring them back to the table, or is it to degrade them so the regime will eventually fall?
Well, we don't think we need the military there anymore. You know, it's a very big operation, and what we do have is the oil companies are all going in now, and they're doing partnerships with Iraq, and they're getting along very well. The relationship is a whole big relationship where we don't need the military there. We're there to help them. We're there to protect them if need be, but we don't think that's going to be necessary. And their primary, I consider an opponent. They might have considered a friend, but I consider that an opponent was Iran, was a big burden on Iraq because they were the bully of the Middle East, as you know. And we were just talking about that, but they're not going to have that problem anymore because Iran has been very much destabilized, and really their military power is just a tiny fraction of what it was just 4 months ago. So they're not going to have that problem. I think that it's really, in a sense, it's given them freedom to do what they have to do. And I think that's one of the reasons that our oil companies are going in there at levels that have never been seen before. So. You want to answer?
شكرا جزيلا على السؤال.
Thank you for your question.
ابتداء في منهاج الحكومي
According to the program of the government,
هو حصر السلاح بيد الدولة.
is to restrict the possession of weapons to the state.
وهذه نقطة أساسية.
And this is a basic point.
ولدي قرار بها غير قابل للخيار.
And this is like a decision. It's not an option.
تم استلام.
We received
أسلحة كثيرة من قبل بعض الفصائل.
Weapons by different factions.
واللي يسلم سلاحه.
And whoever surrender his weapon.
ويتحول إلى جهة سياسية ومدنية.
Turned into like a political or civilian.
من ناحيتنا سيتم التعاون معه.
We will cooperate with them.
بعد 30/9
after the 30th of September
لا حاجة لوجود أي فصائل.
There's no any need for the presence of any faction.
لكون الفصائل
because factions
هي حاجة وليس مهنة.
is a need, it's not a profession.
وماكو مبرر لبقائهم بعد 30/9.
No any justification for their existence after the 30th of September.
إن شاء الله نهاية هذا العام أو بداية العام القادم.
By the end of this year or by the beginning of the next year.
سوف نعلن أكبر مؤتمر السيادة الوطني.
The sovereignty conference is the biggest conference in the region.
قرار العراق بيد العراقيين.
The Iraqi decision is by the hand of the Iraqis only.
وقواتنا الأمنية قادرة على حماية أراضيهم.
And our security forces are capable of protecting their borders.
بعد 30/9
after the 30th of September.
لا نسمح لأي جهة تحمل سلاح خارج نطاق الدولة.
Never accept for any entity to carry weapons outside the control of a state.
Thank you, President Trump. I have two questions. I was wondering if you could explain your changing thinking on the Strait of Hormuz, applying a 20% fee. How did you get to the decision you just announced?
Yeah, so when I put that out yesterday, because we've been doing that for many, many years, it was never fair to me that we would be guarding the strait when we basically don't take we don't need the oil at all. And it wasn't important for us, but it was important for allies. It was important for people that we get along with very well, including the major Gulf state countries. So I put it out yesterday. I thought it was good. I was called by different people, different countries, kings and emirs and all of the people that we all know and we all love, and they've been very strong partners. And they said, we'd love to do it a different way. We'd love to invest in the United States with billions and billions of dollars and continue our record setting, because there's never been a time like this with the United States, with the factories, with the plants, with everything else. And we would like to invest tremendously in the United States as opposed to charging a fee. And I like that, actually, because I don't think anybody should be able to charge a fee for the strait or for any other strait relationship in terms of other sections of the world. I don't think anybody should be really in that position. But we were doing it as a reimbursement. The Gulf states are going to invest a tremendous amount of money into the United States, and that was very satisfactory to me. I think it's actually much better.
If I could also ask, are you aware of why the FBI is looking into Senator Graham's death? Have you gotten any updates on why they were at his home?
Well, I don't know why, because I think, he had a problem. His father had a very similar problem, as you know. It's very unique. At first I heard it was clogged arteries, because he did have clogged arteries. He had a problem with that. He was, I wish he took better care of himself. I say, you can solve that problem, but what happened is actually something that's very hard to detect. It was not related to any blockage. It was a totally different thing. And supposedly, and I've watched all the medical reports, I've had the doctors from the White House come in and explain what happened. And this is something that is almost undetectable. And if it happens, there's not much you can do about it. Sounds unfortunate, but there's not much you can do about it. If you look at his father died of the same thing at about the same age. So there was not much. They say it's almost undetectable. You can detect it by if you have a very bad back. That's a sign. It's a bad sign. So if anybody has a bad back, it's a pretty rough thing to think about. But the fact that's one of the primary signs. And he would tell me he had a bad back. But little did anyone realize it was for that. So, and when that bursts, which it did, it burst. There's not much. So I don't see a lot of evil there. I know there's all sorts of conspiracy theories going along, and I don't think the FBI. I think the FBI is wasting their time if they're doing that. Yeah.
Sir, just on the prior question, the Hormuz Strait whole idea for you, that's dead now. That's completely gone.
No, I just told you. You have Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, and Kuwait, primarily, and then others. I spoke to all of them, and they would love to invest more money in the United States at record amounts, and that would be very acceptable. And this way, there's no fee. I don't like the concept of a fee, but at the same time, it's not fair that we're protecting this strait for the entire world, for China and everyone. I don't mind protecting it for China. I don't mind protecting it for anybody, but it's unfair that we're not in somehow compensated. And we've been doing this for many years. It's bothered me. 25 years ago, it bothered me. During my first term, I was doing things like you have to invest in the United States. But by doing it that way, there's no fee. They're investing and they're getting a return on their money, and it's good. But they're going to be making massive investments into the United States, and I like that much better.
Can I ask you a bit about the meeting you had today, whether you discussed OPEC? There's been some reporting that Iraq is pushing for changes to OPEC, a larger share, and even that they might consider leaving it all.
That's the gentleman right here, because here he is. Would you like to know about it?
Are you considering, Mr. Prime Minister, leaving OPEC, or are you pushing for changes within it? And Mr. President, would you support?
Well, I support him. I supported him very early I endorsed him, something I rarely do, but I've had great successes endorsing. We just had Colombia, which was a big one. Argentina was a big one. We had many. I've endorsed, I think, everybody I've endorsed from a foreign standpoint. They just win. Yeah. And, I've been hearing great things. I'm a student of a lot of history, and I do know a lot about the history of Iraq, and I've watched what was happening in Iraq with the elections, and I put a very strong endorsement out because I was very unhappy with the man that was supposed to win the election. And this great gentleman, I think he's going to end up being a great leader. He won. So I'm very happy about that. As far as OPEC, that's his decision, and you might ask him that question.
لا أوبك إحنا أحد البلدان المؤسسة لها.
We are one of the countries that established OPEC.
لكن نريد حقنا وحصة منصفة للعراق.
We need like a fair share for Iraq.
العراق حارب داعش.
Iraq fought ISIS.
والإرهاب بأجمعه.
And terrorism at all.
وبدعم الولايات المتحدة الأمريكية.
Support of the United States of America.
وهذه الحرب مع داعش.
This fight with ISIS.
كلفتنا نفقات كبيرة.
It cost us like huge amounts of money.
ودمرت البنى التحتية العراقية.
Destroyed the Iraqi infrastructure.
مقدار الضرر اللي أصاب العراق.
The damage that really was against Iraq.
أكثر من 400 مليار دولار.
Is more than $400 billion.
لليوم بعض العراقيين مدن مدمرة.
Until today, like some Iraqi cities are totally destroyed.
ويسكنون في مخيمات.
They're like living camps.
والآن لدي خطة أعيدهم إلى دورهم.
I have a plan to get them back to their homes.
نريد حصة منصفة للعراق.
We need a fair share.
لا أكثر من ذلك.
We need a fair share.
I might just answer, because if you remember, even though I was a civilian and had no thought of running for president, I get a disproportionate amount of publicity, as you probably heard. And I used to say, don't go into Iraq. Don't attack Iraq. Frankly, they attacked the wrong country. And they did a lot of damage. Yes.
Thank you. Given how the Iranians have been behaving, do you have any regrets about lifting the naval blockade or giving the sanctions waivers?
No. I gave them a chance. I wanted to give them a chance at making a deal. We had a deal 2 days ago. It was done. And then all of a sudden, they couldn't do it. They didn't like something about the deal. They couldn't do it. And they shot first, and that was a big mistake that they shot first, because we have been knocking the hell out of them. They're very difficult people. 47 years we put up with it. The SS Cole, you go back all the way, thousands of people, thousands of Americans were killed, a lot of soldiers were killed. A lot of soldiers are walking around or not walking around. I mean, they've been so badly injured. The arms, the legs, the face, with the Soleimani, with the bomb. They call it the roadside bomb. Most people call it the roadside bomb. It's a disaster. And I killed him in my first administration. Had I not, it might be a different story today. He was a mad genius. He was probably a madman, but he was a general, and he had total control over the country. And I actually think the leaders of Iran were afraid of Soleimani. but I killed him. And by the way, with him went a very bad person also. They happened to be meeting each other at the airport. And a very bad person from Iraq happened to be, a leader of Iraq happened to be killed in that same incident. So I don't know if I did you a favor or not. I've never asked you that question. You probably would know better than me. But no, I think that what we've done to Iran is we've taken away almost all of their military capability. Go ahead, you explain it. Explain it. Hold on. He has to hear that. Go ahead.
هو بيسأل عن قاسم سليماني وانه كيف تم قتله على يده في الولاية الأولى له في عندما كان رئيسا للولايات المتحدة. فالفكرة هو طبعا كان شخص ذكي جدا وعبقري لكنه كان شرير بنهاية المطاف. وفي حادث استهدافه قتل عراقي كان في صحبته، كانوا يلتقوا في مطار في العراق في بغداد. فهو بيسأل هل هو كان عملكم خدمة أم لا؟ ما هي النظرة بالنسبة لمقتل سليماني؟
أنا في ذاك الوقت لا أمارس السياسة.
At that time I was not in politics.
وأريد كل جيتي نتحدث عن المستقبل إيش راح نسوي.
In my visit, I'd like to talk about the future.
شبعانين من الماضي القديم.
Now we are fed up with the past.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Kurdi, sir. Mr. President, thank you for your time. Last year in May, the Prime Minister of Kurdistan region, Masroor Barzani, signed about $110 billion in energy deals with U.S. companies here in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Mr. President, if Baghdad and Erbil work together better, that investment could grow. What is your message and advice to the leaders in Baghdad and Erbil to work together? Why I'm asking this question? Because you are our miracle makers, Mr. President.
I love this question. It's my favorite question so far, by far. Thank you very much for the question. Look, Baghdad, I think, and I and this country, we're going to make some tremendous music together. We haven't been dealing very much over the last 4 or 5 years with the previous administration. Iraq has tremendous potential because of their oil and because of other things, but because of their oil. And we're going to be doing a lot of deals. We're going to create a lot of jobs for both countries, and we're going to be taking out a lot of oil. A lot of oil is coming out, and the American companies are doing it. Mostly American companies now. They don't want to do business with others. They want to do business with America, and that's good. And that's one of the reasons that I felt so strongly that this was going to be a great prime minister, and I fought for that.
And as a question for how would you describe your relationship with Kurdistan regional government at this time? Because Prime Minister yesterday had a statement and fully support you.
أنا أنظر للعراق جسد.
I look at Iraq as a body.
وكل رقعة جغرافية في العراق هي عضو من جسدي.
Each part of Iraq is part of my own body.
فما راح أميز عضو عن آخر.
So I would never distinguish between any organ.
ولا يمكن أن أقطع جزء من جسدي بيدي.
I cannot cut off any part of any organ from my own body.
كردستان جزء مهم من العراق.
Kurdistan is such an important part of Iraq.
لا يختلفون عن البصرة وعن المحافظات الأخرى.
No different than Basra and other provinces.
But because such nice things were said about him, that means he likes the man that said those nice things. Go ahead, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. I have a question for you and a question for Prime Minister.
Go ahead.
The first question, Mr. Prime Minister, why did you choose the United States as your first trip abroad? And what steps, concrete steps do you take when you go back to Iraq to make sure that the agreements you are reaching in Washington, D.C. implemented?
أنا ورثت بلد ثقيل.
I inherited such a heavy burden country.
وأنا كماجستير مالية
I, as I have a master's degree in finance,
حللت الوضع الاقتصادي للبلد.
I analyzed the economic situation of the country.
هذا الثقل يراد معي شريك استراتيجي يحمله معي.
This burden, I need such a strategic partner to really lift this burden.
وأهم شريك استراتيجي في العالم
The most important strategic partnership in the
هو الولايات
world
المتحدة
is
الأمريكية.
the United States of America.
فلم تكن زيارتي عابرة أو من فراغ.
It wasn't just like any visit or like I came out of.
ولم تكن عاطفية وإنما
It's not
عقلية.
emotional. It's about mind.
Inflation slowed to 3.5%.
Yeah, thank you.
Will this trend hold now that strikes on Iran?
I think so. I think it's going to, inflation's down. We inherited the worst inflation in the history of our country. They say 48 years. It was the worst in the history of our country from Biden, Sleepy Joe. He might have been sleepy, but boy, he could create inflation like nobody. And I inherited that, and I got blamed for it, and it's not my fault. We are putting it to sleep. And we've done a great job, Scott and Howard and Marco and even Pete, because he's watching his dollars, right? But they've done a fantastic job. We've all done a fantastic job. So we had the worst inflation in history, and the history of our country. I mean, we had months where it was 9 and 10%, and now we have a report just came out. It was just released. Thank you for bringing it up. But the report was incredible. Inflation is way down. That means prices are coming way down, and we're doing a great job. And remember that for the midterms. I say to that camera, remember that because nobody else could do it. Prices are way down. Prices are coming way down, and we're going to bring them much lower yet.
Okay. Around the world and around the nation, are we anticipating your big announcement on Thursday night regarding election machines and integrity? Can you give us sort of a sneak peek about what to expect and tell?
Well, I'd rather save it. It will concern that subject, and we'll have a couple of other things to say also. But I'd rather save it. But it's really big news. It's really, really big news, and our country has to shape up. But that's what we're going to be talking about Thursday. Is it doesn't get bigger, because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement.
Mr. President, your administration pushed hard to shape Iraq's leadership and tied U.S. support to disarming Iran-backed factions. With the September 15th deadline weeks away, what happening in Baghdad misses it? And does the U.S. troops withdrawal from Kurdistan region still proceed on schedule?
I think everything's on schedule. We have a great, here we are. I mean, we're right now, I even called for a lunch that wasn't scheduled, okay? So in that way, but no, we usually, I don't think I've ever done that where we didn't have lunch. I said, let's have lunch. You know why? Because I like them. I like them. So I think that's all going to work out very well. Yeah, please.
Sir, you want this Russia sanctions bill signed within the next week or two, and will you sign it?
Well, I know that Lindsay wanted it very badly. I think they may be adding Iran to it. They're going to add Iran, which is a very big thing. If they did that, they may add Hezbollah too. Just put them if you do business with Hezbollah. So we're looking at that, but they're seriously thinking, and this is in honor of Lindsay. This was his thing. He wanted this more than any other thing. You know how he felt. And there's a good chance that it gets done, but they'd like to add Iran, and they'd like to add Hezbollah to it. That's what I'm hearing. So.
And if that means secondary sanctions on China, India, Europe.
Well, we'll have to look. That hasn't been discussed.
The Prime Minister, al-Zaidi, has launched a campaign to bring Muslims held by militia under the control of the state. How does your administration support him to accomplish this vision? And my second question, how do you envision the future relations between Kurdistan region and Iraq?
I think everything is going to work out. I think the Middle East, believe it or not, is coming together. We're getting rid of the bully of the Middle East. Iran was the bully of the Middle East. They bullied Iraq. They bullied every country. There was fear all over the Middle East with other countries. I understand that, but there was fear. But there's no fear anymore because their military capability has been knocked to hell, and there's no fear. I think the Middle East is coming together like it's never come together before. You can't have a dominant factor like Iran that would kill 52,000 protesters. You know, they killed. Nobody likes talking about that. I don't like talking about it. They killed 52,000 protesters. So the bottom line, all regions, I believe, are coming together. And I think it's going to be, this is going to be one of the great leaders right here. It's going to be one of the great leaders in the Middle East. Go ahead, please. Just explain that, please.
أعتقد أنه الآن الشرق الأوسط قد تم ترتيب أوضاعه لأنه إيران ضعفت الآن وهي كانت تتنمر على الجميع، فالآن انتهى هذا الدور ولا يمكن أن نسمح لقوة واحدة أو بلد واحد بأن يهيمن على كامل المنطقة. يعني الناس يغفلون عن أن إيران كذلك، الحكومة الإيرانية قتلت 52,000 متظاهر في إيران. طبعا نحن لا يمكننا أن نحن لا نتحدث عن ذلك، وأنا نفسي يعني أنا الرئيس أكره أن أفكر في هذا الأمر، لكنهم كذلك. والآن انتهى هذا الدور ولم يعد لإيران أي دور في التنمر على أي من جيرانهم.
And I think we could go into this for a long time. And the bottom line is that we have a fantastic relationship with many countries now. I just came back from NATO. Many of you were there, and you saw how that worked out. It was a phenomenal. It was a love fest, to be honest, and they love the United States. They even like me, but they love the United States. And we're going to cut costs there by hundreds of billions of dollars, maybe. But the NATO event was incredible. Today's event is incredible. This is a potentially really great country, and many people would say it's a great country. We're helping it. We want to help it. We have a fantastic relationship with the new Prime Minister. He's a strong person. He's a very brilliant guy. He's very much acknowledged, or he couldn't have won that election. That was a highly competitive election, and he went out and won, and it's a big story. I mean, it's a big, big story. And I just want to say that the United States has never done better. We're doing well. You know, more people are working today in the United States than at any time in history. We have more things being built. Factories, plants, AI, automobile plants are being built at record numbers, more than we've ever had ever before. The tariffs have been used very judiciously and properly, and companies are pouring in, and countries are pouring into this country to build factories, because when they build them, they have no tariffs. And we have numbers, $19.2 trillion. As an example, under Biden, it was less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We're at $19.2 trillion for 12 months. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Our relationship with Iraq is, I would say, it went from being not so good to being outstanding. And we're going to have a long-term relationship with Iraq. We're going to have a long-term relationship with a man that will be a great leader. Mark my words. I knew what I was doing. This man is going to be a great leader in the Middle East, beyond Iraq. His influence is going to spread all throughout the Middle East. And we're very happy about it. And we're very happy to have you with us. Thank you very much. I don't think there's anything much else you can ask us. This is a very important meeting. It's something I've never done before. No lunch was scheduled. I said, let's have lunch. I've never done that before. Sometimes we'll have a lunch scheduled, but I've never done this. Right, Susie? This is a first. So I have no idea what we're going to be eating, but it'll be fine. But we're doing it because we like the people that we're with. Thank you very much.
You're watching live right now here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Of course, the Iraqi Prime Minister and the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, right there from the Oval Office. Before we recap some of that meeting and some other topics, let's go to some of our sponsors here on Right Side. You see All Family Pharmacy. Being prepared can make all the difference when it comes to your family's health care, whether you need an everyday prescription medication for a common illness or simply want to keep your medicine cabinet stocked. It's always better to plan ahead, and that's why we recommend All Family Pharmacy. They offer more than 400 medications, from maintenance medications and antibiotics to ivermectin, GLP-1 therapies, NAD+, and other wellness options. What really sets them apart is their customer service. When you call, you actually get a real person who can actually help. Whether you're placing an order, have questions about your prescription, or need guidance through the process, their team is there for you. You can even speak with a licensed pharmacist if you have medication questions. Now, ordering is simple. Complete a secure online medical questionnaire. One of their licensed physicians reviews your information and, if appropriate, writes your prescription. Your medication is then shipped directly to your door. So to get the ball started or ball rolling, all you do is go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that promo code at checkout, RSBN10, for 10% off. And then you can give them a call if you have any questions as well, 561-717-6794. Let's go to one more sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, Birch Gold Group. We wouldn't be celebrating America 250 if it wasn't for a strong foundation set by the framers. Alexander Hamilton built America's financial foundation on the principle of sound, stable money, a principle later embodied by the gold standard. However, we abandoned that discipline back in 1971 and have since seen inflation erode the dollar's value. So the question is, what is the foundation of your savings? Is it gold or something that can be shaken, disrupted, or devalued? Now, Birch Gold Group has been helping Americans solidify their savings with gold for the past 15 years. They'll help you convert an existing IRA or a 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in gold. So you can learn how gold fits into your portfolio by texting the word Trump to the number 989898. You'll receive a free, no-obligation info kit as well. With an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews, let Birch Gold help you build your foundation with gold. Text that word Trump to the number 989898. Again, Trump to 989898. All right, it is 12:31, just past the bottom of the hour here on Right Side. Let's shift now to the late South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville spoke about Graham's passing recently. Here's that clip.
It's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First news. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. Let's now go to President Trump being asked about the FBI investigating the late senator's death. A question asked earlier this morning inside the Oval Office, if you're just watching. Following that, the president's statement on the Strait of Hormuz.
Are you aware of why the FBI is looking into Senator Graham's death? Have you gotten any updates on why they were at his home?
Well, I don't know why, because I think, he had a problem. His father had a very similar problem, as you know. It's very unique. At first I heard it was clogged arteries, because he did have clogged arteries. He had a problem with that. He was, I wish he took better care of himself. I say, you can solve that problem, but what happened is actually something that's very hard to detect. It was not related to any blockage. It was a totally different thing. And supposedly, and I've watched all the medical reports, I've had the doctors from the White House come in and explain what happened. And this is something that is almost undetectable. And if it happens, there's not much you can do about it. Sounds unfortunate, but there's not much you can do about it. If you look at his father died of the same thing at about the same age. So there was not much. They say it's almost undetectable. You can detect it by if you have a very bad back. That's a sign. It's a bad sign. So if anybody has a bad back, it's a pretty rough thing to think about. But the fact that's one of the primary signs, and he would tell me he had a bad back, but little did anyone realize it was for that. So, and when that bursts, which it did, it burst. There's not much. So I don't see a lot of evil there. I know there's all sorts of conspiracy theories going along, and I don't think the FBI. I think the FBI is wasting their time if they're doing that. Yeah.
Around the world and around the nation, are we anticipating your big announcement on Thursday night regarding election machines and integrity? Can you give us sort of a sneak peek about what to expect and tell?
Well, I'd rather save it. It will concern that subject, and we'll have a couple of other things to say also. But I'd rather save it. But it's really big news. It's really, really big news, and our country has to shape up. But that's what we're going to be talking about Thursday. Is it doesn't get bigger, because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement.
Well, there you go. A huge announcement. The president talking about that for that primetime speech. You'll see right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. That speech starts at 9 o'clock Eastern on Thursday. However, our coverage starts at 7:30 Eastern. We'll have a number of people to join us live here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. On top of that, tomorrow, the president will be in Pennsylvania for a roundtable at 2:30 Eastern. So we'll have coverage tomorrow, Thursday, and pretty much every day here on Right Side. Let's do this. As we conclude our broadcast, if you were watching prior to the meeting today with that bilateral meeting with the Iraqi Prime Minister, I was talking about November of 2022 and this powerful storm that passed through Miami, Florida, and President Trump just continually spoke through during that storm. In context, if you want to replay what I was talking about, go ahead. But let's get back to that video for those of you that were interested in seeing the rest of it. This was from the press riser back in November of 2022.
Let's stay out here, right? I'm not leaving.
What a moment. November 2022, right here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. That was actually not our camera work. That was my camera work with this phone, the other phone. Got waterlogged that day. Anyway, to close out our broadcast, let's go to mypillow.com/RSBN. Great sponsor here on Right Side. Of course, we love Mike Lindell. Who doesn't love Mike Lindell? He's on the right side of history, fighting for freedom, fighting for election integrity, has a great company, has a number of companies actually. A great book too, if you didn't get a chance. mypillow.com/RSBN. And speaking of great, a lot of great products as well. So if you're looking for some new products, or maybe just get some products that you've had for a few years, re-up on it. mypillow.com/RSBN. If you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. rsbnetwork.com/donate. For all of us at Right Side, I'm Matthew Alvarez. We'll see you again soon.